Teddy Long says, hold up, wait a minute, put a little WrestleMania in it. Brock mocks Goldberg's scream shout thing, which I thought was funny. Crowd chants, you sold.
It was like, eh.
Yeah. For no reason.
Kurt Angle comes out. Dun, 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 dun. He's all intense. Oh, by the way, this haircut is still happening.
I'm itching to beat him like a penis with an STD.
Who's that jumping out the side? R.A. Mysterio. Here we go. Whoop, whoop. Here's Trish Stratus, the former women's champion, facing Christian, and she got no offense. Chris Jericho was buying her flowers. You want to be with the guy who's throwing you downstairs?
Oh, yes!
Fans out there, and this is a nudie magazine, what old people used to get off on. She pulls her panties down to reveal that she's wearing a G-string, and that was how the whole thing ended. Very important, that match.
Vince McMahon came out to... And finally, that brings us to our Wrestling Rewind.
And boy, are we in for a ride here on the Retro Review.
We sure are. And it starts off with the world-renowned Boys Choir of Harlem. They sang America the Beautiful, and I zoned out, if I'm being honest.
I swear one of those kids was Devon Dudley. Obviously not, but...
Obviously.
He just looked like Devon Dudley.
Well, then they had a standard WrestleMania opening. It's the 20-year anniversary. They played highlights of Mania's past. It goes into another video of current wrestlers. And they do a voiceover talking about how great WrestleMania is and how much it means to them. Ironically, Brock was involved. I don't think Brock remembers his WrestleMania. John Cena debuted alongside Rock's goatee. Two very iconic debuts. And we open in Madison Square Garden. Drowning Pool's Broken is the music, which I thought was a great choice. It's a great song. Ross and Lawler are on commentary, so are fucking Taz and Cole. And we start off with John Cena versus the Giant. It's for the U.S. title. Cena immediately grabs the mic. He says, nah. We're going to kick this off right tonight. You got the franchise player on the Super Bowl stage. So get that Big Show gorilla out of his cage. Ain't no way I'm going to lose to that King Kong ripoff. That's like Gary Coleman beating Patrick Ewing in a tip-off. Big Show is really an ape with opposable thumbs. And he stuffs his singlet. Looks like he's smuggling plums. Yo, everybody knows that he can't see me. I'm itching to beat him like a penis with an STD. I'm not even wrestling the Big Show. This whole thing's a charade. My match is with the hippo float from the Macy's parade. So it's time to get a championship to match these custom knucks. Madison Square Garden, chant it loud, baby. Big Show sucks. Word life.
Doctor of Thugonomics.
Giant reminds me of a younger Andre. He did like the slow plodding walks and shit. Like, gotta fucking go over there. But he did more athletic shit like suplexes. And it was really weird hearing Let's Go Cena without the Cena sucks following it.
Yeah, the dueling chant.
Yeah, that really fucked with me. During the match, Giant used a camel clutch as a tribute to Sergeant Slaughter, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, or that year.
Was this the first year for the Hall of Fame?
I believe so. I don't remember it in any other year.
Yeah. I was thinking they just like slipped that right in there.
Cena hits the FU on the Giant, and he becomes the first person to ever kick out of the FU. So that's a bit of trivia. Cena then grabs a chain, but the ref won't allow it, so Cena just tosses it aside. So the ref goes to get the chain out of the ring, and Cena grabs a pair of knucks and socks the Giant, then hits another FU, 1, 2, 3. And your new U.S. title. And
Soon to be coming with a spinner on it.
Yes. And we are entering the dark days of John Cena.
I do think it's funny, though. I wouldn't say funny, but more ironic that we are now watching the beginning of Cena, and then literally on the same day he announced his retirement.
Right.
Because I watched it today, so
it's interesting timing. Well, Jonathan Coachman's walking down a hall. He runs into Dr. Tom Pritchard and some dude. And then he runs into Teddy Long. Teddy Long says, hold up, wait a minute, put a little WrestleMania in it. Coach goes into the GM's office where Eric Bischoff is talking to Jonathan Morrison. And Bischoff is worried about The Undertaker and wants Coach to look for him. Randy Orton, Ric Flair, and Batista had a backstage promo. And Orton says he established himself as a hardcore legend by taking out Mick Foley in this very building and then kicking him down a flight of stairs. And a video plays, and sure enough, Orton kicked Foley down a flight of stairs. And that motherfucker, he just fucking flopped down there too. If there's anything that Mick Foley can do well, it's just flop.
Fall.
Yeah.
He's a good faller.
Orton says Foley challenged him for Orton's IC title, but just walked away. And the video plays of Foley walking away. And then Orton said Foley's challenged him again, and Orton just spit in Foley's face. And a video of that very incident starts playing. Foley got all of that loogie too.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ugh.
It's one of those that stick in your head.
Orton says Foley's time has passed, just like life. That's just evolution. And they play a video of Foley just getting periodically massacred by each member of Evolution. And then Orton said, after all those ass whoopings, you ran to The Rock for help, but we beat his ass too. Of course, there's a video of that. At least Orton has evidence. And Orton says The Rock and Foley are washed up has-beens, and it's Evolution's time now. I just want to point out that Ric Flair is a member of Evolution.
He sure is.
He's just laughing, nodding along. Like, that motherfucker is older than Jesus. Talking about washed up has-been. Anyway, I thought it was funny. I thought it was a good promo, though. I like the ominous kicked him down the very stairs that they're standing in front of.
Yeah, I like to show you video packages.
On a side note, Orton was really young. I mean, they all were, but damn.
Yeah, I think that was his WrestleMania debut.
I believe so.
Because, yeah, him and Cena, I believe, they debuted same year. It goes more into, like, the whole Cena retiring and Orton still being around.
La Resistance versus Garrison Cade and Mark Jindrak versus the Dudley Boys versus RVD and Booker T for the World Tag Team titles. I could have done without ever seeing Bubba Ray Dudley in fucking shorts.
That's funny. I was like, wow, that was a choice.
Booker and RVD have joint theme music. It's kind of like they are an actual team or something. Instead of,
And it was bad music too. I didn't like it.
Oh, it was terrible. But at least they combined them and, they were a team as opposed to the fucking thing they do now where they each have their own entrances.
Okay, so there's only 2 teams in this match? I mean, I didn't know shit about it, if I'm being honest. Cade and Jindrak.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was like, I don't even remember these guys. I couldn't tell you one thing about them.
I know the names. I don't remember anything about them.
Well, in fact, I remember Lance Cade, but I don't remember Garrison.
That's what. I was gonna say. At first, I thought that Garrison Cade was the dude that teamed with Trevor Murdoch.
Oh, maybe that was.
No, I think Lance Cade did, didn't he?
He did. And we're saying that's not the same person.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Anyway, Van Dam won with a 5-star frog splash. Definitely not a WrestleMania classic. This tag team match was. And only Van Dam's music played after the match, so they only sort of care, apparently.
Yes. And I said that the people who won this match, I would have much rather have seen each of them in a singles match. Like Booker T in a singles match and Rob Van Dam in a singles match. Also, Booker T just last year challenged for the World Heavyweight Championship, and now a year later he's in a tag team, makeshift tag team at that.
Just like Benoit was wrestling Kurt Angle, and then he was in a nothing tag team match with Rhino.
Yeah, I guess that's what happens.
Yep. Coach is still looking for Undertaker. He hears noises coming behind a sliding door. Doesn't sound like any noises Taker would make, by the way. Gene Okerlund and Bobby the Brain Heenan come out with their clothes all fucked up and they're covered in lipstick. Naturally, Coach wants to know what the fuck was going on behind the door. Heenan says they weren't fucking, which is encouraging. We weren't fucking, we were playing cards.
Because he was insinuating, I mean, you two came out.
Yeah.
You were in that room together. What are you doing in there?
So Moolah and Mae Young come out. And it turns out they were fucking Heenan and Okerlund in the darkest pits of Madison Square Garden. And Moolah and May drag Mean Gene and Heenan back into the room, presumably to have non-consensual intercourse. Coach just walks away confused. By the way, this is the last time we ever see Coach. We don't know if he finds The Undertaker. We don't know if Bischoff fires Coach for not finding The Undertaker. That's the end of the story.
That's okay. It needed to be Poor Heenan, by the way.
I believe this is when he was sick too.
Yeah, I could see that. He was pretty thin. He didn't look healthy.
Christian versus Chris Jericho. The build-up is that this started off as a bet for $1 Canadian that Jericho can fuck Trish Stratus before Christian can fuck Lita. Lita's never mentioned again, and Christian and Jericho both want to fuck Trish Stratus. In a logical turn of events, Bischoff puts Christian and Trish Stratus in a match against each other. Trish gets destroyed and gets the walls of Jericho. Only reason to watch this bullshit.
Actually, watched the match, and it went exactly how. Let me run down the match real quick. So Christian, he tells Trish, "I'm gonna just lay down. I'm gonna let you pin me because this is stupid that we're in this match together." And Trish Stratus is like, "Okay," she's apprehensive about the whole thing. So Christian lays down. Trish pins him. 1, 2, and then Christian like throws her as a kick out. Even on commentary, JR's like, "Well, that was pretty aggressive." And then Trish Stratus is like, "I'm done with this." So she turns to walk away. Christian slaps her on the ass hard. She turns back at him to, I don't know, "Why'd you slap me on the ass?" That's where we're going with that. Christian turns his back and then does a 360 and just clotheslines the shit out of her. You would think that was all he needed to do because the way she got that clothesline, it was over. And then he put her in the walls of Jericho. She fights to get to the ropes. He pulls her back, and then he sinks down, and that's how the match goes. And here is Trish Stratus, the former women's champion, facing Christian, and she got no offense. That's why I wanted to watch the match because if this was nowadays, the woman would get a lot of offense, probably even win. But yeah, that's how they played that there. Oh, and after the match, Christian wouldn't let go of the walls of Jericho. So he held it on too, which made it even funnier.
So the match was pretty good, although it lacked the intensity of their brawl. They showed a clip. Jericho returned, or he was on the next Raw, and he confronted Christian. They fought, and I don't know, it looked like Jericho really wanted to fuck Trish Stratus and was pissed off at Christian for cock blocking him. But when they had the actual match, the intensity wasn't there.
Yeah, it did miss there. And also, when Jericho came out for his entrance, he posed.
Yeah.
Again, we're in this blood feud, and you're over here posing.
Well, Christian got a clover leaf on Jericho. Jericho reversed it into a walls of Jericho. And then Christian immediately got to the ropes. He started climbing out of the ring, but Jericho won't let go. Ends up putting him in the walls on the floor. And Trish Stratus came out, presumably to cheer Jericho. Christian grabs Trish, throws her head first into the bottom turnbuckle. Her head just bounced off like a fucking basketball. Jericho decks Christian, sending him outside the ring. Then he checks on Stratus, who elbows him in the face. Christian slides back into the ring and rolls up Jericho, grabs a handful of tights. 1, 2, 3. So after the match, Trish is trying to console Jericho. Jericho doesn't want any of it, but Trish seems like she wants to work things out. Christian comes running back in, hops up on the apron. Jericho goes for round 2 with Christian, but Trish pulls him back and then starts slapping the shit out of Jericho. Really slapping the shit out of him. Christian runs in, hits Jericho with the I'm Prettier, and then Christian and Trish walk off together, and then they smooch on the entrance ramp.
Yep.
I was confused.
I guess she likes to mistreat type, as he grabbed her by her hair aggressively and laid that kiss on her.
He threw her face first into the bottom turnbuckle.
Yeah. She likes the bad boy. That's what that was.
Okay.
Chris Jericho was buying her flowers and shit. No, you need.
Fuck that.
You want to be with the guy who's throwing you downstairs.
Foley had an interview, and he's asked how he feels about his first WrestleMania match in 4 years. Foley says he's overcome with emotion, but hopes that his hatred for Evolution doesn't interfere with his and Brock's plans. He never reveals what those plans are, by the way. Rock slides in, does his bullshit. This is when he started saying that he's come back home when he goes to leave for movies.
Yeah, I think this one was the Scorpion. No, he already did the Scorpion King. I don't know what this movie was. Probably.
Who cares?
Journey to Mysterious Island.
The Tooth Fairy.
Maybe Walking Tall. No, that was later. I don't know. I don't know what this one was.
So he only comes back home to wash his dirty laundry and eat a couple home-cooked meals.
Yeah.
It's not really his home. Rock tells Lillian Garcia to stop looking at his penis. Then he calls Hurricane and Rosie Hamburglar and Grimace. He shows Jimmy Snuka and Don the Rock Morocco. It dawned on me, The Rock is the Robin Williams of wrestling.
How so?
If you listen to Robin Williams, he just says a bunch of shit, silly things, and it's supposed to be funny. And that's what The Rock does. Just
Fair
out of
enough.
nowhere, tells Lillian Garcia to stop looking at his penis. No context, no preamble to that. He just said it because he thinks it's funny. Just like calling Hurricane and Rosalie Hamburger and Grimace. It's funny.
Fair enough.
We have Evolution. It's Randy Orton, Batista, and Flair versus Rock and Sock Connection. It's a 3-on-2 handicap match. And I gotta say, The Rock looked ridiculous with the goatee. It looked like The Rock's dad wrestled.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the goatee either.
It looked stupid. Now, there was a point where he was feuded with Cena and he had the gray goatee. That kind of worked. Flair may have been the most over guy in the whole match. Pretty impressive.
Well, we didn't know the other guys yet. Randy Orton and Batista.
So when Flair did his top rope bump thing, where they toss him over back into the ring.
Yeah.
Lawler's like, "Don't do it, Rick. That has never worked in all the years I've known you. Please." Which I thought that was funny because it's true. Do we even know what that top rope move is supposed to be?
I forgot if it was a double X handle or I think it is a double X handle. He was successful once in his retirement match, I believe.
Okay. Foley got Batista in the mandible claw after Batista got a mount and started beating the shit out of him. Then Flair went for a people's elbow, but got too carried away with his strut. And then Rock was able to recover. Like, he just stopped. He stopped doing the people's elbow and just strutted. Fucking Flair. Rock hit Flair with the people's elbow, and he didn't get carried away with his strut. He had strut discipline. Orton goes for an RKO. Rock counters with a rock bottom. Flair stops the pin. Flair distracts the ref by grabbing a chair. Batista hits a Batista bomb. Orton makes the cover, but The Rock kicks out. Foley gets a hot tag, runs wild. Eventually, Foley gets out Mr. Sacco and targets Orton. Orton counters with an RKO 1-2-3, just out of nowhere. And Foley set up immediately, looked confused, then he looked sad. And then he and The Rock hugged.
Yeah, he was like, that was supposed to be 2.
Yeah, he didn't even try to sell the
3.
RKO.
It's 3. Yeah, I don't know what that was about, but I do like that it was a RKO out of nowhere. So we've already started that. I always like the out of nowhere element to really any move. This match was actually more competitive than I thought, being that, it was 3 versus 2.
Flair was one of the 3, though, so.
Yeah, and at first I didn't think they were going to have tags either because, they started out just jumping them. I'm like, oh man, how long is this match going to go if it's, you're making Evolution look bad here, but no. And they won, so that's all that's important about it.
They did win. Well, next we have the Hall of Fame inductees. They are Greg the Hammer Valentine, The Rock Don Morocco, Big John Studd, Junkyard Dog, Superstar Billy Graham, Sergeant Slaughter, Tito Santana,
Arriba.
King Harley Race, Jesse the Body Ventura, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Mean Gene shows off all the Hall of Fame inductees. And yeah, I wrote it's the first time I remember them doing this.
Yep. A lot of the people from WrestleMania 1 and 2.
That's true, yeah.
Which we have done, so I would say skip to WrestleMania 2, if I'm being honest. WrestleMania 1 wasn't even that much to, like, even in a review prompt, you don't want to hear it. But WrestleMania 2 was good. You go watch that on our channel.
Well, after that, they interviewed a whole bunch of idiots. Turns out they flew from the UK to be at Mania.
Yeah, they got to get that in there, that whole interview thing.
Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit had a locker room segment. Eddie tells Benoit, win or lose, he's proud of the essay. Benoit says there's no lose, and don't talk to me like that. Eddie says Benoit's facing both HBK and Triple H. No one really believes that he'll win, essay. Benoit shouts that he believes in him, and that's all that matters. Eddie won his title. Tonight is Benoit's night. Eddie says, I was just trying to get that version of Benoit to come out. The Wolverine, essay. Benoit says they're both walking out with their titles, and I have no idea who or what Eddie was staring at the majority of this segment. Because he was like talking to Benoit, but he was staring off into the distance, like he was distracted by something.
I don't know.
Also, I hate this fucking version of Eddie. I don't.
Actually, took it the other way. I like that he wasn't trying to be white, if you will.
I guess I thought he was trying too hard to be Spanish.
Yeah, too much the other way.
I thought it was a stereotype. And far be it from me to criticize stereotypes. I think stereotypes are hilarious, but when they're the world champion, you got Speedy Gonzalez as your fucking world champion.
They even started throwing some criminal history too.
Yeah, it makes no fucking
Like
sense.
here they go again.
Well, it makes sense because Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember him doing that in WCW. I could be wrong. Maybe we'll see.
I mean, he has a mullet, but he's still pretty clean cut in WCW.
Yeah, I don't remember him having the fucking accent or the over the top essay. Oh, Holmes, ole. With
Well,
the
let's see when we
fucking
get to the infamous Hollywood Havoc match that they showcased in WWE 2K23. We'll see when we get there.
fair enough. Cruiserweight Open. It's for the cruiserweight title, and the rules are that two wrestlers will start. Normal match rules apply, so pins, submissions, countouts, and all that shit. And the order of appearance was determined through a random drawing, and the last man standing will be champion, obviously. And our contestants by order of appearance is Chavo Guerrero, Nunzio, Jamie Noble, Akio. That's one name. I don't know who the fuck that is.
Yeah. Did he even get into the match?
No, he got misted.
Oh, yeah.
Tajiri, Funaki, Shannon Moore, the Ultimo Dragon, Billy Kidman, and Rey Mysterio Jr. Ultimo Dragon had the best entrance by far with the fire and the dragon roars. Billy Kidman, for some reason, had DMX sounding music for his theme, and it just looked out of place. I thought Mysterio looked stupid. He was going for like a Flash gimmick, and I don't know, it didn't work for me.
I mean, I was okay with the suit, and I always hated that music.
Yeah.
Who's that jumping out the side? R.A. Mysterio, here we go. Whoop, whoop.
I don't think I've liked any of his music.
I mean, I'm okay with the Booyaka Booyaka
Yeah, I don't like it.
619.
Ugh. So Dragon beat Shannon Moore with a weird reverse DDT slam, and then Noble beat Dragon with a nasty sitting guillotine choke. And there went my favorite.
I know. Here is the Ultimo Dragon, belt collector in WCW, 8 belts, pretty much well respected, opening many pay per views. And then now he's over here getting tapped out by Jamie Noble.
Yes. Although I will say Jamie Noble was a little fucking beast in this match.
He was, but still.
Yeah. Noble immediately pinned Funaki, and then he beat Nunzio by countout. And then Kidman did a springboard shooting star press to Nunzio and Noble on the outside of the ring. And it looked like he hit his head on Nunzio, and I laughed.
Yep, he did not get the rotation that he needed.
Well, at first I thought he hit his head on the floor, but after watching it several times, it was funnier each time. You could see that he hit Nunzio's elbow. So Kidman beats Noble with top rope sky high. And then Mysterio beat Kidman with something that looked like a Canadian destroyer from the top rope. And Mysterio beats Tajiri with a roll-up after Tajiri misted Akio by mistake. Akio tried to help Tajiri and paid for it. I thought it was Shannon Moore. Boy, is my face red. Akio was deemed unfit to compete because Tajiri misted him. So Tajiri just nails Mysterio with a kick on his way out. Chavo's next, and they redid the spot with Rey where he was about to do one of his dives. The ref stops him, and then he just dives over the ref from behind his back. Only this time it was to Chavo Sr., which I thought was funny. Get that old man.
He was selling it too.
Chavo rolled up Mysterio for the win. Chavo Sr. held Chavo Jr.'s hand for leverage. And I enjoyed the little evil father and son idea.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Props to Chavo Sr. for taking that bump.
Yeah?
Like, he's over here taking bumps like that. Overall, I thought it was kind of rushed.
You don't
It's
say.
like everybody just got their moments in. Now, at this point, obviously, I'm really critiquing, as I know I'm in store for a 4.5 hour pay per view. And I'm trying to critique, well, this match was rushed. Also, why was it on the pay per view? Like, you could have probably done without this match. Well, there's another match you could have done without, but maybe not. And yeah, I was still taken aback by the Ultimo Dragon getting tapped out by Jamie Noble. And Tajiri, I like Tajiri too. I mean, he didn't really have anything. Like, he was in there for I don't know if anybody lasted more than a minute, to be honest.
Kidman, Noble,
Yeah.
Kidman, and Mysterio.
Sorry, I take it back. I don't know if any like of the falls lasted more than a minute. They were in and out pretty quick.
Brock
But yeah.
Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg.
Oh boy.
Special guest referee is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Build for this match is Goldberg is being interviewed about his upcoming Royal Rumble match, and Lesnar comes in and just starts talking shit for some reason. Lesnar fucks Goldberg out of the Royal Rumble, and this gets under the skin of Stone Cold, who hands Bill a ticket to the next pay-per-view where Brock is facing Eddie Guerrero. Stone Cold tells Goldberg, "Don't do anything I wouldn't do, kid." So naturally, Goldberg fucks Lesnar out of the title against Eddie. We then see Lesnar literally on his knees begging for a match against Goldberg at WrestleMania. McMahon comes out and says, "No fucking way." Stone Cold comes out and basically peer pressures McMahon into making the match, but he makes the guest referee Stone Cold Steve Austin. Then McMahon and Bischoff just start fighting, and Lesnar F5's Austin. I need to watch because the way they had that clipped, it was weird. Then you learned about Austin giving Goldberg the ticket, so that's why he F5'd him. Lesnar steals Austin's four-wheeler. Austin goes to get his four-wheeler, and he busts Brock open and drives away. And this made me actually want to see Austin versus Lesnar way more than Goldberg versus Lesnar. In fact, Goldberg was hardly in the build.
Yeah, this was more of a build between Austin and Lesnar. It was Goldberg and Lesnar.
So Stone Cold comes out in his four-wheeler, of course. Brock and Goldberg come out. Brock mocks Goldberg's scream shout thing, which I thought was funny. Crowd chants, "You sold."
He was like, eh.
Yeah. For no reason. The crowd starts chanting, "You sold out." It's worth noting that Lesnar at this point in time is leaving for the NFL, and I think Goldberg's leaving as well. And
They mentioned that in one of the documentaries about this match.
Yeah.
The crowd knew that they were both out.
I remember Brock's being official and Goldberg's was basically behind the scenes. But either way, people were pissed off.
Yeah.
And Lesnar and Goldberg just stand there. Austin tells them to shit or get off the pot. Crowd is chanting the "Na Na Na Na" song. Ross reveals that, yeah, he's leaving for the NFL. More standing. Crowd chants Austin's name. Goldberg and Lesnar turn to glare at Austin.
Now, I do want to point out that this is actually different than, like, you remember WrestleMania 18, Hogan and The Rock? They were standing, circling at each other, but they were letting the crowd get their shit in, building up the moment. These two are just literally just standing there.
Killing time.
And, like, they're just standing there looking at each other, and you got each of them saying, "Make the move, make a move." Austin's like, "Come on, do something."
Come on, motherfuckers. So we have more standing, and they finally fucking lock up, and they just start pushing each other into the corner, but it's a standoff. I don't know how real it was, but Lesnar's a fucking beast if they were going 100%, because Goldberg had like the angles and the leverage and the positioning and everything, but Lesnar fucking would not budge at all.
Yeah, so they do a collar and elbow tie up, and they're just like pushing each other back and forth.
So
and this lasted a long time too.
So then they stand around again, then they lock up again, then they stand again, and then Brock hits Goldberg in a side headlock. Then they do the running into each other thing. Crowd boos all of it. More standing, only they're in each other's faces this time. Then Lesnar and Goldberg shoot off the ropes and both run into each other, and they're both taken out like morons. Crowd is still booing. More standing. Goldberg does his gorilla press slam to Lesnar and turns it into a spine buster. Crowd cheers for the first time. It was pretty fucking impressive. Goldberg goes for a spear but eats the ring post and falls out of the ring. Lesnar beats Goldberg's ass outside the ring, rolls him back in, tries to pin him after a suplex, which I thought was funny. Got these two giants wailing on each other, and Goldberg tries to win with just a basic suplex. Lesnar locks in an arm hold for a really long time. Then they collide with each other again. Lesnar starts whooping on Goldberg. Crowd is chanting "Something sucks."
This match sucks.
Okay. Goldberg fires back, then starts whooping on Lesnar, even hits his spinning neckbreaker thing. Goldberg hits a spear. Lesnar kicks out. Goldberg gets in Austin's face. The crowd does not give a shit at all. Lesnar hits an F5 on distracted Goldberg. Goldberg kicks out. Then Lesnar gets pissed at Austin too. Lesnar goes for a spear for some reason and then ends up beating the ring post. I've never seen Lesnar go for a spear ever.
I think he's just trying to,
Yeah, I know what
you
he's
know,
trying to do. It's
he's,
just stupid.
yeah.
Goldberg hits another spear and a jackhammer 1-2-3. Crowd booed all of it. And you can see the fans giving Goldberg the finger when he's celebrating. Lesnar recovers and the fans sing goodbye song to him again. Lesnar gives the fans and Austin the finger. Austin stuns Lesnar and drinks beer. Goldberg gets in the ring. Austin tosses him some beers. Austin gets on the corner. He starts to drink his beers. Crowd cheers wholeheartedly. Well, Goldberg, he gets on the opposite corner and starts to drink his beers. Crowd sings nothing but booze and profanity at him. So funny. Austin shares a toast with Goldberg, and then Austin stuns him. Crowd couldn't have been happier at that moment.
You know, I gotta be honest here. When I first watched this match, I didn't like it at all. Maybe it's just old age, but I liked the match. I think
Okay.
the crowd was a little bit harsh on this match, and again, it's probably because they knew that both of the men were out. But if I break it down by segments, the entrances, right? You get Brock Lesnar looking jacked, looking like a man, coming out. The old Brock music. This is like heavyweight Brock. This is not left for UFC Brock. He's about to be a lineman, so he's really jacked. Goldberg gets the Goldberg thing. He walking through the fireworks. Stone Cold music. The glass shatters. So you got all the testosterone there. So that segment's good. Then you go to the actual beginning of the match when they're standing forever. Didn't like that, obviously. Into the collar and elbow tie up bull rush thing. Didn't like that. But then after that, it turned into what you would think it is. Like you aren't gonna get a mat classic here. You're gonna get power moves. So I like that part of it. So overall, I guess you cut out the 5 minutes of the match that was just them doing nothing. 5 minutes of probably an 8 minute match. I liked it.
Yeah, I couldn't get past the standing and doing nothing.
Yeah, it really took a lot of people out of it. But I think the crowd was a little bit harsh on the match. But they got to do what they got to do. The fans, that is.
Well, and this goes into like the blood feud thing because Goldberg cost Lesnar the title, and he's just gonna just stand there, make your move, hit me, and I'll hit you back.
Yeah, Lesnar was being a little prick when he's standing across from Goldberg doing his little. Even Goldberg laughed at that. That was like, what the hell?
Well, then they show the outside of the building and they ignite some fireworks. It's always weird to me because the people that paid for the show don't really see that.
And I don't know what they were shooting fireworks for at
It's
all.
it's the 20th anniversary of WrestleMania,
Oh, that's what they're doing it for?
probably.
Okay.
And then WrestleMania 21 is advertised. It's going to be in Hollywood, and it's actually Batista versus Triple H in the main event for the World Heavyweight title, and then Cena versus JBL.
Wow. We just saw JBL as a tag team guy, and he's going to be holding the title. And he's a wrestling god within a year.
Yep. And unfortunately, we don't get to see that reign this time around. Vince McMahon. Oh,
Wait a minute. We've missed something.
no, we didn't.
Oh, we did.
Oh, we didn't.
We did. Hold on. This is what the people came to hear. We had another match that was glanced over. This match ended up being a Playboy evening gown match, a barn burner of a match. The participants: Sable, her tag team partner Tori Wilson, blonde and blonde, and they faced off against the fierce competitors of Stacy Keebler, also blonde, and Miss Jackie, which is not the black chick. It is actually a white chick, and she's also blonde. And I guess they've all graced the covers of Playboy. I don't remember Miss Jackie being on Playboy, but maybe she was. Maybe I'll go do some research on that one. Before the match starts, what's Playboy? You might be asking, you fans out there. And this is a nudie magazine, or what old people used to get off on. There was no hubs, no internets. You had to get a magazine like you see at the newsstand. And there was naked women, usually. It was a Playboy magazine. They had some for the guys. Anyway, that's here nor there. So yeah, this match it was a barn burner. But before the match, Tori Wilson and Sable, they got the mic and they said, "I know this is supposed to be a evening gown match, but these evening gowns are constricting and uncomfortable, so they both strip to their bra and panties. Also does Stacy Keebler. But Miss Jackie won't do it. She's the prude who's also been in Playboy. So, since she won't do it, the three ladies, including her tag team partner, all team up and strip her down. Now, if you would believe that this match had wrestling moves in it, but they did. There was like schoolboys and roll ups and counters, and there wasn't really any like high stuff like suplexes or anything. But they did all this, and the end of the match, we see, and again, these are in bra and panties. Tori Wilson rolled up Miss Jackie, and then post match, as she's holding her in the roll up, she pulls her panties down to reveal that she's wearing a G underneath. And that was how the whole thing ended. It's very important, that match.
Vince McMahon came out to thank the fans for making WrestleMania as big as it's become, and that was literally all he did.
Yep.
Then we have the world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin versus APA versus the Basham brothers. That's Doug and Danny Basham versus Too Cool, Rikishi and Scotty Too Hottie. It's for the WWE tag team titles. Bradshaw's clean shaven. He's ditched the long hair. He looks ridiculous, but yeah, he's destined for greater things at this point. Bradshaw did a last call to one of the Bashams to the outside of the ring. It was awesome. And then Bradshaw hit another Basham with the clothesline from hell, but he wants to take out Rikishi for some reason. Rikishi hits Bradshaw with a Samoan drop and sits on the fallen Basham 1-2-3. It's bad enough the APA lost to these bitch ass tag teams, but they had to be part of the finish too. And Too Cool fucking danced after the match.
You look fly today. I didn't know who the hell those Bashams were. It's like I couldn't tell you for the life of me who these guys are. Couldn't tell you one match that they've been in.
Well, then we had a Edge video package. He's coming back.
Yep.
Jesse the Body Ventura interviewed Donald Trump. Says his hair looked fantastic. Ventura asked Trump what Mania means to him since he hosted 4 and 5. Trump says it means a lot. He's known Vince McMahon for a long time, and he's with his son having a great time. Ventura asked Trump for moral and financial support should he step back into politics. Trump is all for it. Ventura says a wrestler needs to be in the White House in 2008, then leave.
I just think it's funny that this is 2004 and they're just teasing, getting into politics, and one turns out to actually become a president.
Yeah. I believe Trump has kind of teased that for a while. Then he eventually pulled the trigger. Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero for the WWE Championship. This started because Angle attacked Guerrero out of the blue because he's a former drug addict and therefore isn't a champion in Kurt Angle's eyes, which I thought was pretty rich coming from Kurt Angle, the notorious painkiller addict.
Yes, that was pretty rich.
Angle says one day he'll thank him for being the champion we can be proud of. Eddie ends up attacking Angle. Heyman has him arrested. Angle later used that in a promo, says he's too much of a hellion to be champion. Like, oh, you're getting arrested? Heyman, who has a ponytail at this time, demands a public apology from Eddie. Eddie, of course, refuses. Heyman says he wishes he was in a position to shut Eddie up for good. Well, Eddie jokes that Heyman couldn't beat him up with both of his hands tied up behind his back. Well, Heyman jumps on that, and it turns out it's a trap for Angle to whip the shit out of Eddie with his hands literally tied behind his back. Angle ends up hitting Eddie with the championship belt, and it's the type of strike where he just falls to the ground too with Eddie. So the match starts, and crowd begins by a "Let's Go Angle, Angle Sucks" chant. This was Angle going 100 miles an hour, and Eddie trying the whole match to slow him down. Kurt teased a German to the floor from the apron like he does. Eddie was quick with the counters. He countered an Angle slam into an arm drag, then another one into a DDT. After the second Angle slam counter, Eddie hit a frog splash, but Angle just kicked out. Angle goes for an ankle lock, and Eddie keeps rolling out of it. Finally, Angle really gets it in, and Eddie rolls out of it after a really long struggle, and it sends Angle to the floor. Eddie's in visible pain. Like, he's crawling on the mat, and he starts to untie his boot to relieve the swelling. And then he just kind of looks over, and he sees Angle just looking at him like a fucking raptor. And he literally just says, "Oh, shit." The Angle flies into the ring, gets Eddie into another ankle lock, of course, on the injured ankle. And Eddie tries to roll out of it, but Kurt isn't having it. Then Eddie desperately starts kicking at Kurt, who only applies the hold even tighter and tighter. And suddenly, Eddie's boot just slides right off. And Kurt gets pissed off, charges Eddie. Eddie hits the most epic small package I've ever fucking seen in my life. And it's a 1-2-3. Replay showed that Eddie wrapped his feet around the ropes because, he lies, he cheats, he steals.
I lie, I cheat, I steal.
And after the match, Angle threw a fit and he threw Eddie's boot at him. And he really sold the loss.
Yeah. Angle really sold this whole thing.
Angle was good shit, man.
Yeah. When he was coming out, it's a title match and he's like got that stone cold look on his face. No pun, of course. It's like he was laser focused in because it's a title match.
And this is bald Angle, so this was when he's starting to get almost MMA like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait until he gets the mouthpiece.
Oh, it's over when the mouthpiece gets out there.
Right?
And we get the strap down, so that's good too. I always love a good strap down.
Kane versus The Undertaker. Maskless Kane is here, unfortunately, and he beat The Undertaker at Survivor Series in a buried alive match, then did a eulogy for him on the next Raw or SmackDown, whichever one. Kane then says The Undertaker acting like a normal person is an unpardonable sin. Kane says he became one of you.
Right, so he's upset that The Undertaker went to the American Badass gimmick.
Yes. Kane says his brother was a fraud, so he buried him alive. Then we flash forward to Royal Rumble. Kane's kicking everyone's ass. Then Undertaker's music just plays. And I think they played like a little music video. After that, Undertaker continues to fuck with Kane. Kane tries to do his pyro several times, and then it turns to purple smoke when he finally gets it to go off. Undertaker just makes it rain. The ring shakes with Kane in it, and then somehow a match is set up from all of this.
Yep.
So Kane had the best entrance by far of the evening. The New York City skyline was the backdrop for the entrance ramp on this little LED thing. And Kane comes out, and NYC is all of a sudden on fire. And it was just awesome. And then there was Undertaker's entrance. So the lights go out, and all of a sudden you just hear, "Oh, yes!" Paul Bearer, of course. Paul Bearer leads out druids carrying torches.
I was too distracted by that druid, the last one, who clearly couldn't handle his torch, and he was like catching everything on fire, and you had people with the fire extinguishers putting it out.
I missed that entirely.
Yeah, that guy was clearly overmatched.
So yeah, Paul Bearer leads out the druids. They're carrying torches. At least most of them are. He looks up at Kane and he says, "You're no son of mine." Then he whips his head back to where Taker's going to come out. Then you hear the gong and lightning, and then Taker's music plays. Then he comes out, and it is indeed the Dead Man. And he marches his way to the ring. Kane's terrified. Well, at least Kane had the better haircut.
Well, he's got to grow it out. Got to give it time.
He was in the awkward phase for sure.
Yeah.
Kane shouts, "You're not real. I killed you." Taker just stares silently. Kane, still not believing Undertaker's really there, goes to touch Undertaker. The second Kane makes contact, Taker just beats him mercilessly. Taker beats him so bad, the ref starts to feel bad and gets chased off by the Dead Man. Undertaker does his paper and leg drop, then starts doing clotheslines in the corner. Bearer screams up at Kane, "You deserve every bit of this!" Finally, Kane gets some offense, starts mounting Taker and landing punches. Short-lived, though, because Taker reversed it and starts landing punches of his own. Kane hits a sidewalk slam, then a top rope clothesline. Then they start trading punches. Taker hits a ginormous big boot in the leg drop. He bounced off the ropes. Fucking awesome. Taker goes for old school, but Kane counters it by grabbing a hold of Taker's throat. So then Taker just grabs Kane's throat. Taker tries to do a choke slam, but Kane fights out of it. Hits his own choke slam, and Bearer just screams, "Damn you!" Kane then starts breaking for some reason, even though the match is still going. Naturally, Taker slips up. Taker hits his clothesline, choke slam, and tombstone 1-2-3. And this is also the debut of Taker sticking his tongue out like a mental patient when he does this cup. And then after the match, Undertaker posed in purple light.
Yeah.
Not as good as the first one.
No, it wasn't. I do like the layers to Kane, though, saying, "You're not real." I don't know. It felt like he thought he was going through like a mental break.
Yeah, what made it for me is that Kane sold it.
Yeah, at least from like if you see a movie with someone who kills someone and then they're like seeing them in their subconscious or whatever. And then they're like talking to him. And it's like, no, no. He thinks he's having a mental breakdown, but he's actually there. The Undertaker is. So yeah, I like that play on it. I also liked the way Kane was laughing as the Undertaker was being buried because he had like an arch in his back and he's like laughing.
I remember that too. I remember Kane having another run with Taker and getting the best of him. And it makes sense that the demon brother would kill the human brother.
He was upset that he was alive. Like it was really upsetting him that he was alive.
Right.
Poor Kane. Oh, don't worry, you'll kill him next time. But yeah, match wise, it wasn't as good as the first one, I would say.
Not even close. Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple H and Shawn Michaels fought to a draw at Royal Rumble. Naturally, Michaels wants a rematch, but Stone Cold says the winner of the Royal Rumble gets first dibs at the title. Benoit comes out, says he's going to be the new champion. Michaels looks confused as fuck. And there's a contract signing between Triple H and Benoit. Michaels comes out, says he's been having issues with Triple H for 10 years now. And this is a chance to finish him off for good. Benoit says, nope, I'm going to be champion. So Michaels super kicks at Benoit and signs the contract. Not sure how legal that is. Stone Cold tells us on his four-wheeler that Eric Bischoff made it a triple threat match. And a video montage of all three interacting violently with each other while Drowning Pool's broken plays. And Benoit was the clear favorite in this match by far, which is really interesting when you have Shawn Michaels there.
Yeah.
This was a typical triple threat match. One guy takes a move, then lies on the apron or rolls out on the floor long enough for the other two to get their shit in, and they just repeated. I wonder if Ross was mandated to compare Triple H to Harley Race or if it was a genuine comparison.
I would say it was genuine. I hope so.
Okay. I don't know. I see, make sure you compare him to Harley Race. Hey, Ross, I think it'd be cool if you compare me to Harley Race. I do.
He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Michaels got hella busted open after a slingshot into the ring post. Like comically busted open.
Triple H that was spewing out.
Yep. Triple H stopped Michaels from tapping out to the crossface, which I thought was a cool little touch. Benoit had Michaels. Michaels goes to tap out, and Triple H just slid in and stopped him. Triple H and Michaels suplex Benoit from the normal announce desk to the Spanish announce desk. And Michaels and Triple H have their big showdown. Triple H starts to bleed too, not nearly as much as Michaels. And Triple H hits a pedigree on Michaels. Benoit makes a save at the last second. Then you get to Triple H in a sharpshooter. Triple H is screaming his lungs out, blood pouring down his face. Starts to crawl the ropes while in excruciating pain. Finally, his fingertips just graze the bottom rope just before Benoit drags his overtrained ass back into the ring. And it looks like Triple H has reached his pain threshold, raises his arm to tap out. Michaels comes out of nowhere and lands a sweet chin music on Benoit. And then Michaels properly tunes up the band, tries another sweet chin music on Benoit. He ducks it, dumps Michaels out of the ring. Triple H tries to capitalize on a distracted Benoit by hitting him with a pedigree. Benoit counters with a crossface. Triple H is right by the ropes, so all he has to do is crawl a few inches and he's out of the hold. But Triple H is battered, bloody, and Benoit has it really locked in. So it looks like Triple H passes out. Referee goes to do the arm raise test, but Triple H fights out of it. He tries with all his might to clear those few inches to get to that bottom rope. But Benoit rolls Triple H, still in the crossface, to the middle of the ring. Triple H knows he's fucked, tries to, with all his might, to just thrash out of it and break free. But eventually it's too much, and the champion taps out. And Benoit's given the title while he's sobbing like a baby. And then he celebrates, still sobbing. And then Eddie comes out so he can cry too. And then confetti starts to fall.
Yep, such a memorable night. Both are having the titles by the end of the night. Two WCW rejects, now WWF champions, respectively.
And then they played a closing highlight music video. I'd be really interested to see how they made it so fucking quickly.
Hey, those teams are working overtime. It's usually the last match that's going to be the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, you got to throw to it right after. But yeah, it was a pretty good triple threat match there. It was kind of a hit or miss WrestleMania altogether, if I'm being honest.
True.
I know we've talked about it, but the length really adds into it. It is so fucking long.
Well, especially when it's filled with bullshit like that Playboy match and The tag team matches we probably could have done without. That Cruiserweight Open.
Yeah, the cruiserweight match, the tag team matches, I would have taken those out. Every other match was appropriately placed.
Yes.
Every other match, except for the cruiserweights and the tag teams.
All right. Well, after WrestleMania, good.
We missed another match.
No, we didn't.
It did it again.
I don't address shit.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to the Playboy match, that very important Playboy match.
God damn it.
It was just weird hearing Michael Cole sounding like he had a penis because he was like into it and he was like objectifying the women. It's like, oh, Michael Cole sounding like he's attracted to a woman. That's weird to hear. But yeah, to jump back a little bit just to have a complete, because this is the deep dive. We had another match. It was Molly Holly versus Victoria for the women's championship, or versus the hair. So it was a hair versus title match. Victoria won this match pretty quickly with a roll up. So Molly Holly was forced to get her hair cut.
So
she tries running away.
Was the haircut longer than the match?
It was.
Okay.
Very much so.
Yeah, that was really long and awkward.
So yeah, Molly Holly, she tries to run away right after the match, and Victoria catches up to her. It gets reversed. Molly Holly throws Victoria into the barber chair. She tries to cut her hair. For some reason, she doesn't know how to work the clippers, so she can't cut Victoria's hair.
Well, there's only one button. It's pretty hard to figure out.
Yeah. And then Victoria, she gets the upper hand, and this barber chair, for some reason, has straps built in. And she straps Molly Holly down, and then they proceed to do the haircut. Victoria, she cuts her hair, and she keeps cutting her hair. They throw to a video package. So the next match up is Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero. So they're doing the whole video package of Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
So they're building this whole thing up. Kurt Angle comes out. Dun, 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 dun. He's all intense. Oh, by the way, this haircut is still happening. So they're still on the stage cutting the hair while Kurt Angle is super intense walking to the ring, and he didn't even acknowledge it, which was the best part.
Didn't. Yeah.
That was it. And then Eddie Guerrero comes out, and they had it cleaned up by that point.
Well, they were cleaning it up.
Yeah, they were taking everybody to the back. But it was the funniest thing that Kurt Angle was so intense, and he didn't even acknowledge the craziness that was right next.
Yeah, it was dumb. Satisfied?
Yes.
Brock Lesnar and Goldberg.
And during this match, and again, this is like a 2 or 3 minute match. But during this match, Jerry Lawler was pressing Jim Ross about what cut of panties he likes the most and what color. So that was the conversation that was going on during the match. Do you like granny panties, JR? No, what's your favorite cut? JR is like, can we please talk about the match? And then there was a moment where JR answered the question. He's like, there's nothing wrong with a classic white. And then he alluded to needing to have a cigar after that. Because I guess he came in his pants from that, just answering that. Anyway, that's all.
After WrestleMania, there was a original main event scheduled between Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit for the title. Triple H got inserted into the picture when he was drafted on the SmackDown, but then he was drafted immediately onto Raw. Benoit ended up winning, and this time he made Michaels submit to the sharpshooter, and Benoit went on to hold the title until August, losing it to Randy Orton at SummerSlam.
Which I remember.
Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle continued their feud, although Angle was out for surgery on his neck for a while. They covered that up by making a giant chokeslam him. At the Great American Bash, Eddie Guerrero was defending his title in a Texas bull rope match against JBL, and it ended with Guerrero appearing to have won, but Angle reversed the decision and awarded the championship to JBL. After that, Angle interfered with Guerrero's match under the guise of a masked wrestler named El Gran Luchador. He was exposed, and McMahon confronted Angle, who was still using crutches in a wheelchair, demanding a resignation for faking a handicap. Angle refused, and then McMahon fired him and began attacking him with one of the crutches. McMahon saw that Angle was defending himself, and he was completely healthy, so then put him back on the active roster. and he ordered him to wrestle Eddie Guerrero at SummerSlam, where he defeated Eddie. He forced Guerrero to submit via an ankle lock. And then they closed up their feud at Survivor Series. But Eddie's team won. Cactus Jack and Randy Orton, they continued their feud at Backlash. Jack challenged Orton to a hardcore match for the IC title. Orton won after performing an RKO to Cactus Jack onto a barbed wire baseball bat.
And that was the match I think it was Austin Theory. I said he needs that match to get over. You really saw after that Randy Orton was a guy.
Well, after WrestleMania, Kane and Undertaker went their separate ways. Before the year was out, both men would receive shots at their respective brands' top championships. Kane faced Benoit at Bad Blood for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Undertaker received multiple shots at JBL for his title. Then Kane spent the rest of his time in a feud with Lita and Matt fucking Hardy. Yeah, next one is WrestleMania 21. Before that, we have WCW Bash at the Beach, 1997. We're in Daytona Beach, Florida. The matches featured our Ultimate Dragon versus Chris Jericho for the Cruiserweight title. We have the Steiner Brothers versus the Great Muta and Masahiro Chono. Just a styles clash. We have Chris Benoit versus the Taskmaster. We have Mongo McMichael versus Jeff Jarrett for the U.S. title. Randy Savage and Scott Hall versus DDP and Mr. Perfect. We have Roddy Piper versus Ric Flair. And then our main event is Lex Luger and the Giant versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman.
So the return of Hollywood. And just like that, that's going to do it for the retro portion of the show. And as always, if you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, Top Guys out.